Well, yes, it is there, but the real reason I got turned on to Romania was because of a Charleston photographer, Ron Rocks. Ron has spoken to many audiences about photography, including the Seabrook Island Photography Club, and he is perhaps most well known for his handbook on seeing and photographing Charleston. So when I got interested, I met with Ron and we talked about various areas in Europe, and he happened to know a great guide in Transylvania. That was all it took. So by email, Ron introduced me to Zsolt. His full name is Nemeth Zsolt, but unlike in the United States, the first name is the family or surname, and the second names are the given names. So he is Zsolt. And from March 2011 to April 2012, when I flew to Romania, we planned my trip and communicated by email, and a couple of phone calls. The next step was getting there. We determined to go round trip to London and then change planes and do a round trip from London to Budapest. That way I could spend some time in England on my way back. But soon after Marcia booked my flight to Budapest, Malev Airlines, the national airlines of Hungary, declared bankruptcy and ceased all operations. But we didn't get word of that for more than a month. The news sent us into a scramble to get other flights and hotel reservations, and try to figure out how much money we lost. The airline did eventually make good on our unused tickets, but the hotels I had booked at Gatwick were not so forthcoming. When I arrived at Budapest, I was missing one of my bags, so that required staying in Budapest for an extra day until they located the bag and shipped it on to me. Then I started to drive. While planning the trip, I was figuring I could make the drive in one day. But with the lost luggage, I couldn't get out of Budapest until the middle of the afternoon. So I pulled up in Cluj-Napoca and spent the night. I finally got to Transylvania 2 days late and several $100s lighter, but the real fun was about to begin. Before I introduce you to Zsolt's family, I'd like to show you where Transylvania is. This is a map of Eastern Europe. This shows the border of Romania. In the middle of the country is a mountain range called the Carpathian Mountains, which provides a border on 3 sides for Transylvania. Zsolt lived in Mureș County, the county seat of which is Târgu Mureș. We spent much of our time in the towns and villages surrounding Târgu Mureș, with a couple of side trips which I'll talk about later. But back to Zsolt. I met Zsolt at his home, met his wife and daughter, several bunnies and goats, chickens, and a cat, and quickly learned that the people in Transylvania are very self-sufficient, providing much of their daily food from backyard gardens and animals. In fact, when they served me tea on that first afternoon, I asked Edith why she was using a Coca-Cola bottle for the milk, and she explained that the neighbor had a cow, and they shared what they didn't need with the other neighbors. There was even a milkman, but in this case, he didn't deliver milk, but picked up the leftovers from those who milked daily and took it to a central pasteurizing plant to be sold in stores. And this was the next thing I learned. Everybody wanted to stop and pose. It made it tough to get people working or just being themselves. But in my whole 2+ weeks in Romania, I only ran into 2 people who didn't want their picture taken. After tea, Zsolt took me to my lodgings, and we'll look at those in the next module.